All right, let's talk about Nissan's U1001 code. If you own a Nissan, chances are you've heard of this one. Today, we're going to break down one of the most common and honestly, one of the most misunderstood communication error codes out there.
So you've got that dreaded check engine light. You plug in your scanner, and a U1001 code is just staring back at you. So what's the deal? Is this just a little hiccup, or are we talking about some kind of major electrical nightmare? Let's figure it out.
Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this step by step. First, we'll cover what this code actually is. Then we'll look at your car's internal network. After that, we'll round up the usual suspects, the common culprits. Then, the important part, your diagnostic checklist. And finally, we'll talk fixes and wrap it all up.
First things first, let's get a really clear picture of what your car is trying to tell you when it throws this code. What does U1001 actually mean?
So, in plain English, this code means there's been a communication breakdown inside your car. You've got all these different computers or modules that control things like your engine and your transmission. They're supposed to be talking to each other constantly. Well, this code pops up when one of them goes silent for 2 seconds or more.
And chances are you're seeing some of these symptoms right now. Of course, there's the check engine light, but you might also notice your car suddenly goes into limp mode, where it just has no power. Maybe it won't start at all, or it's really hard to get it going. You might even see other warning lights pop up, like for your ABS or VDC. Heck, even your cruise control suddenly not working can be a direct result of this communication problem. You know, to really solve this mystery, we've got to understand the crime scene. And in this case, the crime scene is your car's incredibly complex internal communication network.
The whole system at the heart of this problem is called the Controller Area Network, or CAN bus for short. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like your car's nervous system. It's what lets everything communicate.
This little analogy really shows you just how critical this network is. Think about it. Your car's control modules, like the engine control module and the transmission control module. Those are like your brain, your heart, your lungs. They're the vital organs. And the CAN bus wires? Those are the nerves connecting everything together. So if those nerves get damaged, the organs can't talk to each other, and the whole system just starts to fall apart. So, we know what it is, but why does it happen? What could actually cause this communication breakdown? Let's round up the usual suspects.
And here's the thing, the culprit could be something super simple or something a bit more serious. A lot of the time, it's a physical issue, like a wiring harness that's frayed or shorted out, maybe some corrosion, or even just a bad ground connection. But it could also be as simple as a low battery or a blown fuse. And of course, sometimes it really is a faulty computer module.
Okay, now for the part you've been waiting for. This is your systematic checklist to hunt down the problem. The best part? We're going to start with the easiest and most common checks first, so you don't waste any time.
But before we jump into that checklist, I want you to remember one magic number: 60 ohms. Now, ohms are just a measure of electrical resistance. Think of it like the water pressure in a hose. It has to be just right for it to work properly. We're going to come back to this, but just lock it in your brain. 60 ohms. That's the sign of a healthy network.
All right, here's your game plan. Just 4 simple steps. Follow these in order and you'll be diagnosing this thing like a pro. Number 1, check the battery and fuses. 2, do a really thorough visual inspection. 3, test that CAN bus resistance we just talked about. And 4, if you still haven't found it, isolate the faulty component.
Seriously, always start with what you can see. As one mechanic perfectly put it, first thing, go check your battery cables. Be sure that there's no corrosion. Unstable voltage is an absolute network killer, so make sure your battery is fully charged. We're talking around 12.6 volts, and that the terminals are clean and tight. After that, check the fuses for your main computer modules.
Okay, for step 3, and listen, this is important, disconnect the battery first. This table is going to be your best friend. You'll measure the resistance across the 2 communication wires. If you get a reading around 60 ohms, congratulations, your network wiring is healthy. If you see 120 ohms, that points to an open circuit, probably a break in a wire. And if you're getting something close to 0, well, that means you've got a short circuit somewhere. Wires are touching that shouldn't be.
So, you've gone through the steps, you've used your meter, and you think you've found the culprit. So, what's next? Let's close the case on this U1001 code.
The solution is almost always going to be one of these 3 things: repair, replace, or reprogram. You might just need to repair a damaged wire or clean up a corroded ground connection. Or you might actually have to replace a faulty module.
And just a heads up, if you do replace a module, it often needs to be professionally programmed to your car's specific VIN.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's simple. Before you start assuming the worst, like a super expensive computer has failed, always start with the basics. Which really brings us to our final question. Could a simple loose wire, a little bit of gunk on a battery terminal, or a $5 fuse actually be the real problem here? When it comes to the U1001 code, you'd be surprised how often the simplest explanation is the right one.